can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain and pain, true pain.
In my day-to-day life, I don't need a man to fix my car. I'll just go to the mechanic.
You know the funny thing too about females like you? On the front end, you be bucking up and acting wild.
Yeah.
It's just like when you meet a horse that could potentially be a thoroughbred, but it's wild and you have to break it. The sadness is that to break something, you have to hurt it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You're the kind of female that makes a man apply a certain kind of pressure and power towards you that is actually not healthy. You see, because when you tell me I gotta outman you, the fact of the matter is, as far as being a man, you ain't no match for me. And so you said, of course, then why would I need to prove that?
The sad part is that it looked like she actually liked that, and not in the healthiest way. But then again, what are we to expect from modern women in the current socio-political landscape? Do we seem surprised when women like this fill up with pride the second they talk about being a challenge? Of course not. These days, women think they're the prize. It's why we started seeing, around the 80s and 90s, women taking control of entire magazines telling women what men want. They started acting like they were the experts, that they found the secret sauce without being a stable, traditional mother of three. They believed because they found 5 salivating simps at the club in 1 week, suddenly they had the key to being the prize. It's why, in the present day, women have more gurus than sense. Women with absolutely no knowledge of the male experience, but still decide that they know exactly why women aren't getting these $300 dates. Like this one here by Jana Hawking called, "Here's the Reason You Can't Get a Boyfriend."
Please save me from the Please save me from the
What if there was one word that could perfectly summarize why you are single? Well, there may be. I just happened to stumble upon it recently, and I had the biggest light bulb moment that helped me face a painful truth. It's fleabagging, and it's safe to say I've suffered from it for at least 10 years now, perhaps longer. The word comes from the iconic TV series Fleabag, about a woman in her 30s who bounces from one disastrous man to the next.
Great start.
They all have one thing in common. They are emotionally unavailable, slightly risky, massive players, and all-around dud dudes. But the lead character keeps dating the same type of guy repeatedly. During the COVID era, I devoured that TV series because I had never found a show that resonated with me so deeply. However, therein lies the problem. This satirical series made the punchline about her having terrible taste in men a trait I rather annoyingly found in myself. Now, on the face of it, finding fault in one's behavior isn't, in itself, a bad thing. The problem, Jana, is that you're taking advice from the same thing every Western woman does, television. And that's where you're losing us. And that's because modern TV is just total propaganda. Either the women are the victims, facing a bunch of fake dudes that act like wild dogs, or they're constantly glorified for doing absolutely nothing but wearing a skimpy suit. On top of that, you decided to use the term which just makes you a slave to complete fiction. Yes, women choose poorly, but none of the responsibility can really be tied to men here. You voluntarily endorsed a system that promotes female empowerment, which is basically like using a rubber chicken as a compass. The real problem, and I know this may be a shock to the modern ears, is you.
I went on a first date, and when I opened the door, my man was at my front door, and I was like, "Oh, like right." And then he hit me with the Rico. He pulled the flowers out, and I was like, "Wow, this is different, right?" So I'm not even paying attention. I brush past this, trying to walk down the steps and get to the door, right? Because I'm not paying attention. I'm just so not used to it, and it just hasn't, like, I just didn't have a lot of practice. He opened my car door. I get inside. He closed the door. I immediately went to my group chat. It's weird.
Did you say he opened your car door?
He opened
High five.
No. Now let me explain, right? Let me explain. By the time we got to the restaurant, my follow-up text was, "Y'all, that's my bad. I just realized and all that stuff we be talking about, we don't really want it." And I felt like he technically did everything that we be saying we be wanting. In my mind, instinctively, my first thought was, he corny. But he really did everything that we want. But it's...
Wow.
Your children, the ones that I did not create, they're allowed to do what you do. They sleep all day. They don't come out of the room. They don't do what they need to do.
Wait a minute, hold up. I want you to come over here. I want you to watch this. Let me show you something. Go sit over there. I have a little concern because your sons are not demonstrating that they are learning to be the kind of man I know you want them to be, they're going to demonstrate the kind of man you teach them to be. And I'm not really sure what to do about that. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. That's how you do that. The woman has to talk to her man to get him to move the way she needs him to move. You're not gonna get nothing with that.
This is both right and wrong at the same time. First off, the fact that women need a translator or coach to be functional just exemplifies how lost women are in the current environment. And women, beyond the household duties, really shouldn't be moving anything, especially not the man. I say this because the issues that plague these feminists are so layered that even the most, quote, enlightened of the bunch only gets halfway to the truth. Like Jana here. Now don't get me wrong, these guys are all perfectly fine if you were friends with them. Funny, charming, life of the party. But to date them is an entirely different story. My 10 years of situationships all featured one thing. I dated guys who were never in the market for a girlfriend, and I collected them like baseball cards.
At least you're honest.
And I can't even shame them, because it's what I accepted. In fact, if I'm being completely honest with myself, they all showed their red flags early. I just happened to turn into a bull when I saw them and charged straight towards those red flags with a big ol' smile on my face. Oh, Jana.
Okay, continue.
And it's not just me. So many of my friends are finding themselves stuck in never-ending situationship cycles with guys who have zero plans of settling down. They go on cute dates, have fun sleepovers, but when it comes to the "what are we" chat, well, that's when things get tricky. It's really horrible to watch it play out, and a recent study by dating site Plenty of Fish found that 63% of women are stuck in the same cycle. Okay, again, all of this, on the surface, might sound good. The woman here saw the error in her ways and did her best to take liability and turn it around. She even made the effort to finally not blame men for ruining her life, and admits that she spent a majority of her time running around with a bunch of guys, and that this was a bad decision. But here's the issue, Jana, and you're not gonna like this one. You're old. You've hit the wall, eggless. It's over. This success story you speak of, the one where you now date different guys and feel like you found the true path, it's about as real as the show you watched while eating a pint of ice cream next to Felix the cat. You spent a lifetime in female years on the rails, Jana. You realize that, right? These men that you've supposedly chosen, there's a reason that you're still dating and not getting married. It's because, gentlemanly or not, they see what we see.
Paint me a perfect picture of the man you're looking for.
Someone that can understand a PhD dissertation and can sit through it and understand it and they can listen.
So you want a nerd.
But they also drive a truck and like country music.
How has the dating life been in Miami so far?
You can't talk to them, they both have boyfriends.
I have a boyfriend.
Awesome. But what about yourself? You been in the dating world?
Yeah.
What's the one thing you learn about yourself in dating?
I'm more picky than I thought.
Really?
Yeah. I guess I like a guy has a degree in science.
So you want a guy that has a degree in science?
Yeah,
If he's a dropout, he's no bueno.
I mean, we're all PhDs.
I'm a PhD too. I'm poor, hungry, and determined.
Yeah. So we're all PhD students or has a PhD already.
So let me ask you this: you don't care if they have no money. You care about the PhDs.
Yeah.
So education is more important than money.
Yeah, it happens both ways. I mean, like once you get the education, the money will come after. It's an investment.
None of that is true.
How important is height when it comes to dating?
Oh, that's very important. I know a guy, he likes me, but because of his height.
He's in the friend zone.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that likes you, but he's short.
Yeah.
You don't like him that way because of his height, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
So you have him in the friend zone right now.
Yeah, he's my friend, I told him.
But he has hopes of having something more.
Well, I told him.
He's persistent.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 3 years, so I don't know if he's going to lose hope.
If you feel it, you feel it. If you don't, you don't. It's that simple.
Take a good look, Jana. This was you. For 40 plus years, this was you. I mean, you said it yourself. You spent 10 years on the carousel, hopping in bed for one-night stands, chilling with a Chad or Tyrone at the bars and clubs, and laughing with feminist friends every time you were able to manipulate a guy who was down on his luck. The best case scenario now, Jana, the absolute best case scenario for you is that now you are essentially an oracle. You hit the wall, and now you walk the earth as an example of what happens when you rack up a body count capable of sinking an ever-given ship coming out of the Suez Canal. The success story that you're sharing is, unfortunately for you, a lesson that you can't really recover from, even if you fight fiendishly to do so with hopeful platitudes like this. Thankfully, I've turned a corner. The crazy thing is, I actually just got really bored of the whole thing. The drama, the rejection, the emotional roller coaster, it stopped being exciting and I longed for a bit of normality. Plus, my cortisol levels were shot. Basically, I had situationship burnout, and thank God.
Oh, that's not a word.
Earlier this year, I made some fairly dramatic changes. I called off any form of kinda sorta dating scenario. I started asking guys what they were looking for a lot earlier, and when a guy showed Peter Pan tendencies, that is, they never really grow up, I aborted the mission. The old me would have seen it as a fun challenge, oh lord.
It's far too late for you.
Since then, things have been on an upturn. I've started going for guys with gentlemanly traits. I was flattered when a guy recently asked me to dinner, and he not only made a booking, but also turned up in a gorgeous outfit, with a fresh spritz of cologne and a great attitude. And here's the kicker, girls. He then followed it up with a swoon-worthy text when he left, thanking me for a great time.
I had sex with him.
Now, this all sounds like minor things, but when you've been settling for breadcrumbs in the past, this is actually a big whoop. Plus, it says a lot about the standard for dates I had accepted in the past. Far too many times, we're settling for a drink and a fondle and calling it a date. Snore. There's the famous saying, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, perhaps it's about time we start taking responsibility for our own part in this garbage dating process and start upping our standards.
It's far too late for you.
If he sounds like a dud, don't see him as a challenge. See him as a full stop and move on to someone better. Someone good for your cortisol levels. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. That's great, Jana. Glad you're really turning a corner. Except, in light of everything you've just said, you really didn't. This is exactly what I meant when I said that the best modern women can really hope for in this climate is to get halfway to the truth, stop there, and then feel like they cracked the code enough to share their story with millions of people. Jana, I'm going to outline precisely what's happened here so you can understand what went wrong. Something all of the Man Guide family noticed after the first few lines. You, and everyone in your category, are not special. Sure, you might not be screaming on TikTok, which is a small plus, but all you've effectively done is follow the life cycle of every feminist before you. You spent all of your young life taking a good ride in cars, bathrooms, hotels, and wherever else you could satiate the hunger for stability that only traditional values could have given you. Then, after decades of priming, you went on a major carousel run with whatever man gave you the kind of dopamine that comes from doom-scrolling social media. After that, when you were all burned out, when your age caught up with you, when you had nothing left to give, then you decided to practice a little humility, or so you say. Because at the end of the day, when you put it all together, there's no difference between this article and these clips.
3 9s who you can think of who are women.
Megan Fox, Julia Roberts, and...
If Megan Fox is a 9, how the are you an 8?
No. She's a 10 to me. She's a 12.
Even if she's a 10, how could that make you an 8?
Well, if I'm comparing myself, if we're going to that scale, then it was next to Megan Fox, I'd put myself at like a 3 or 4, realistically.
There's 10 numbers on the scale. How can you put yourself up next to a number which is higher than you and then say, when I'm up next to the number higher than me, it lowers my number? That makes no sense.
I guess you're right, it really doesn't, but since you're asking the question, like realistically, now that I think about it, Megan Fox, like she is a standard, like she is a beauty standard, you know? So obviously I don't fit in that beauty standard. I would not categorize myself as an 8 in that beauty standard with Megan Fox.
So then what would you categorize yourself as?
Like a 4 or a 5.
What about you compared to Megan Fox?
Like a 3.
Like a 3.
What's your biggest turn off?
If she's way too into Disney at our age.
If you broke, just say that, bro. We're not gonna judge you. We're pretty cool people over here. I'm judging you now, though, with your college football t-shirt on. Nothing can stop us now. I tell you how. I'm gonna make it happen.
Do you see the pattern? Allow me to clarify. Jana, starting off by admitting fault, only to plunge into a rant about how the men in your life were Peter Pans is extremely ironic. Do you want to know why? Because, again, at the end of the day, you are the one that refused to grow up with your body. You're too old to date. That's just a fact, lady. You think you've cracked the code, but all you've really done is try and load a save file in the game of life. And the only problem with that is you can't do that within the bounds of our human reality. Your behavior has made this your past, present, and future.
We've just been hanging out a couple times, you know, hanging out.
Really? I thought you weren't looking for a relationship.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No, you said that last week. You were like, I'm not looking for a relationship.
Yeah, well, things.
Remember that? I do.
Things can change.
How long has this been happening?
Just a couple of weeks. She's come over tonight, actually. So.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I am so happy for you. Oh my God, my bestie's finally getting some.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's nothing serious, though, right?
Sorry, what?
I said, obviously, it's nothing serious, though, right?
Well,
you don't actually like her, right? You're just using her.
I don't know.
It doesn't mean anything to you.
I don't know. I mean, I really haven't felt like this intensely about somebody since, like,
If you haven't caught up yet, ma'am, this is you. The woman on the edge of the bed who threw a Hail Mary pass to the wrong team. You're an omen, Jana. One that very few simps will continue to ignore, while real men will just continue to go their own way.
As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.